Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. I'm Cynthia Davis.
And I'm Art DeVitalis. Now for this week's news. This episode is brought to you by the Mountain Man Outdoor Store, Hardt's Backhoe, Brightwood Music, Very Nice Brewing Company, and of course, the Mountaineer newspaper.
Our intro music was created by some of the local mountain kids that play with the Greater Boulder Youth Orchestra. For our lead story today, we talked to Amy Hager, a dietitian, and much more in the Peak to Peak region. She talked about her business and what all plays into being goal-oriented mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Hi, my name's Amy Hager. I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator and also a certified health coach. And just in the past year, I've opened up my own private practice as a registered dietitian, nutritionist. And recently I've been doing telehealth in the past year. You know, everyone's been doing a lot more telehealth. So I've been working with clients virtually, working on nutrition. And also this year I've been partnering with the insurance companies. So I'm actually in network as an insurance provider for all the big companies, including Medicare, Anthem, Cigna, United Healthcare, Aetna, and Humana. Oftentimes you'll find out that your insurance company will cover nutrition counseling as a part of your insurance plan. So I'm happy to help clients with that. And then the other thing I've been doing this year as part of my business is establishing a presence on YouTube with my YouTube channel called Your Inspired Life, where I give tips to folks who are looking to make a healthy lifestyle turn into a permanent lifestyle.
So this is how she primarily works to deliver methods of healthy eating and motivation.
I think what I hear from clients most often, their biggest struggles is staying motivated and coming up with ideas of how to eat healthy without making it complicated. So I talk a lot about motivational mindset and how to stay positive and how to achieve a positive mindset to help keep that motivation going. I think you'll find that a lot of times we'll get going on something, then we'll get off track, and how to keep those habits going so you stay on track more than you fall off track. And then I combine that with a lot of recipe ideas of how to make things quick and easy. I did one on spaghetti squash this past week and what to drink besides water when you're trying to cut back on things like soda and high calorie coffee drinks, that type of thing. So I like to give people simple tips and help it make it into their lifestyle a little bit more easier. And then the latest thing I've been covering in this program that I'm doing right now for free on my YouTube channel, which is an 8-week challenge about staying on track, getting in shape for summer, and staying accountable. And people can go back and review that from day one. They can just go back to the very first video in that series, and they can follow along. You don't have to start at a certain time. I've also turned it into a podcast as well. So if people aren't on YouTube or they don't really like watching videos as much, you can listen to it as a podcast on all of your major podcast hosts. So it's on, Google Play and Apple and iTunes and all that type of thing. The name of the show is called Your Inspired Life.
So Your Inspired Life is online in both audio and video form, but how does it all break down as far as coaching and instruction?
I think a lot of people know what they need to do, but they just need to do it. So you might have all the facts and you know what you're supposed to do, but it's really asking those big questions about what motivates you and turning it into a habit. And there's an art to that, right? You got to practice something over and over and over again, or practice not doing some of those bad habits over and over again. It's kind of like quitting smoking. You got to not smoke in order to quit. So some of these habits, you got to stop eating after dinner if you're not hungry, or pay attention to setting just different ways that you can set up your environment to make it a lot easier to eat healthier. The carrots aren't going to chop up themselves into carrot sticks. You got to make time for that. So I really walk people through the how-to part, but also keep them going with that momentum so they don't fall off track. Years ago, I used to work for a company, and as my job as a health coach, I would be doing health coaching on quitting smoking. So at the time, I was doing a lot with patches and gums, and I work with a healthcare provider to help with prescriptions for that. But there's a lot of counseling that goes into it too, just to help people realize why it's important. Because I think we have to do something because we should, but we forget the big reason behind it, which is like, I don't want to be sick later in life, or I want to have more energy for my kids or my grandkids. And so really getting people to talk about that, it actually is a game changer because it increases your motivation just talking about it. It's a whole category called motivational interviewing, and I've been trained in that, and I incorporate that into a lot of my sessions with clients.
And she even told us about a new course that she's got planned for clients.
Yeah, I think I'd love to get involved more in the community, and actually I'm doing something right now that's in the works, so let people know about it when it's ready, but I'm developing a course. It's going to be a more in-depth lifestyle course for folks that either they're not sure if they want to work one-on-one, or they might not have insurance, or they're not really sure if they want to, dive in all the way. But I'm developing a course that's going to help folks develop just all types of lifestyle habits to keep them going for good instead of falling off track. It's kind of like a support forum, and it's going to be really guided step by step, more structure really to like how to get ready to cook something, or how to set up your kitchen so that you're not tempted by snacks. So that's something that I'm working on. I don't have really a name for it yet, but it's going to be a big program, a big lifestyle program that people can have lifetime access to. So once I get that more planned out, I'll tell you more about it. But I think what the take-home message is that everybody knows what they need to do. They just need to do it. But it takes time for it to become automatic. Just like quitting smoking, it takes time in practice over and over again, and you might fall off. But as long as you can get back on, once you accumulate more time practicing the habit you want, that's when you're going to get successful at it. And you can't really put a time limit on it. So I know sometimes I work with folks and it's like, okay, we have 5 or 6 sessions, but it's not quite enough. You need a little bit more. You need motivation every day. You need that reminder every single day to stay on track. And that's what I try to do with my YouTube channel and my podcast, is give people little tips every single day so they can kind of have that reminder, make a habit out of it. And that's my goal with this program, is to have a place where people can come every single day to stay on track and not feel like they're getting left behind once their visits run out.
But the biggest thing, of course, is sticking with your plan to achieve better nutrition and health.
It can make people frustrated. They get nervous, like nothing's worked for me before. I don't really know. People kind of start to lose confidence. You try so many times, but a lot of people, I think the common fact is that people try quitting smoking 30 times before they're successful. So it's just the practicing that muscle of keeping at it is what's good. And it's funny, this week I talked to an old client I used to work with 5 years ago, and she was newly diagnosed with diabetes, and we worked together for almost an entire year. And she was making all these changes. She was walking. She was watching her diet, but the weight wouldn't come off. And so it was a little bit discouraging because she was like, I don't know if it's working, but all these other things were getting better. Well, I talked to her 5 years later, and she's lost 90 pounds. So maybe I planted the seeds for her, but it just goes to show, I think, if you keep at it and you don't put a time limit on it, eventually you can get that, as long as you don't quit for good. Unless you're smoking, then you want to quit for good.
You can find more on coloradomountainliving.net. And, of course, via YouTube or your preferred podcast platform at Your Inspired Life. Thanks, Amy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
To the news desk.
The Holistic Homestead is hosting a 3-day farmers market over the Memorial Day weekend this year. It's Friday, May 28th, Saturday, May 29th, and Sunday, May 30th.
The Mountaineer newspaper is working on senior profiles during May. If you are a high school senior, please reach out to us at publisher1977@gmail.com for more information. We have student interns and staff reporters to help create your story for this annual celebration of graduation. Final senior profiles will be published in the May 28th edition, so send in your info right away.
Free COVID tests are available at the Nederland Community Center every Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. No appointment or ID is required.
Gilpin County has COVID-19 testing at Gilpin County Public Health Office, 101 Norton Drive, every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can sign up at www.primarybio.com. Please pre-register prior to arrival.
Peak to Peak musicians and artists, we're looking for you. We cover all news of the Peak to Peak, including businesses and artist profiles. We offer features on this podcast, website, and social media. Right now, these are all completed through email with our journalists and over the phone. When everything opens back up, it'll be in person. If you're interested, email publisher1977@gmail.com to get on the list for upcoming editions.
Friday night is karaoke night at the Last Stand Tavern in Cold Creek Canyon. The Last Stand Tavern is located at 32128 Highway 72. They offer great comfort food, an extensive bar selection, and a wonderful outdoor deck to sit and enjoy your meal and music. And don't forget, it's also family-owned and operated.
The Mountain Man Outdoor Store carries new and used outdoor gear, Carhartts, Loki, Darn Tough socks, hats, gloves, goggles, helmets, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and more. They have everything you need as a Ned local and everything you didn't know you'd need when visiting Ned from afar. They're located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, Unit 111 in Nederland. Give the Mountain Man Outdoor Store a call at 303-258-3295.
The Mountaineer has advertising packets that include print, social media, online, and podcast. Email publisher1977@gmail.com for more information on a marketing plan for all of your business needs.
The Levitt Street Market is now open in Central City every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They have several vendors offering fresh produce, pottery, jams and jellies, JKQ barbecue, and more. Stop by Central City and check it out.
Hardt's Backhoe Service is your locally owned and operated excavating company working in the Peak to Peak region. They can take care of all of your excavating needs, including septic installation, digging your new foundation, rock walls, construction, demolition, and so much more. Now scheduling summer and fall projects. You can reach them at 303-589-9354 or just find them on Facebook at Hardt's Backhoe.
And now we'll head to Dango Rose, who talks with Pete Fiore about the reopening of the Caribou Room as an outdoor space for the summer concert series.
All right, this is Dango Rose with the Mountaineer Everybody's Listening podcast. Today is Pete Fiore of the Caribou Room, longtime Nederland resident and good old friend of mine. How you doing today, Pete?
I'm good, Dango. How you doing, man? Good to hear you.
Thanks, man. I'm doing pretty well. Just kind of curious, just right off the bat, how's the music flowing up in Nederland? How's it looking for the summer?
I think it's like the springtime of humanity right now, man. It's really the energy's in the air. We're super excited. The town gave us temporary permission to do another season. Last year, we got most of the summer in, and Kimba Stefani's still booking for us, and she has got a bunch of stuff in the book. We've got tickets on sale for, I think, about 6 shows, and we're going to release a whole bunch of more shows here this week and next week. So it's looking good. We're excited. We're going to be changing a few things on the menu, and we're going to be loosening restrictions a little bit on our park. Hopefully, if the town lets us do this every summer, we're going to kind of step the whole thing up out and have a little bit of a nicer stage and things like that, which I can't do until I know I'm going to be able to do it for more than just one more season. The energy's in the air, so it feels good.
That's wonderful, Pete. I love hearing that. The springtime of humanity. It does.
Yeah. It's pretty optimistic. I mean, I went down to Trey Gringo yesterday for some enchiladas, and the place was just packed and hopping, and lots of people hugging, and it was really nice. I could feel it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so this slate of shows for the summer, you're looking at the outdoor concert series again. Is that correct?
Going to call it the lot series, the parking lot series, or just the lot series. I don't know, something like that. We're asking the planning commission to make a recommendation to the board of trustees to be able to do this every summer. It was so popular last year, but of course, last year we were all freaking out about the pandemic. So who really knows if this will even work, but we're going to give it a shot. Still have the pods, or we call them bubbles, where people can stay with their group. And should they want to move around, they have to have a mask on still when they want to walk around. But we can only get 140 people in there. The Caribou Room has an occupancy of about 540. Recently just went up, and the fire marshal went in and re-looked at everything. So it's tough to pay the bills. The bills are all the same.
Yeah, and the parking lot series, brought joy to the whole community, just being able to come there in the pods.
We were one of the first shows in the country, I think. We really took a risk there that we thought was safe. And so we did it. This summer, it's good to see other people following our model, from Longmont all the way up even to Planet Bluegrass doing their thing, their springtime grass thing, which was really cool. Breweries who serve food and they have an outdoor lawn or whatever, they all picked it all up, and it's great. It's really great for musicians because they're starving, great for crew. So
that era, just like after the Spanish flu,
Exactly. People really want to celebrate life, and I want to be part of that. I'm looking forward to it. So we want to be as low impact as possible on our surrounding neighbors. We want to make sure that we're only doing really one electric kind of louder show a week and try to do one acoustic show a week. So we're trying to schedule like that. And that's really our guiding models, to have a quieter show, a more regular show each week. 4th of July show, which I think is in the middle of the week this year. But besides that, it's just weekends. Music starts around 5-ish. You know how the weather is. And if the weather's bad, it really just kind of rolls through in the summer. So we'll just hold off and then fire back up after it rolls on through. It's a family affair, improving tweaks here and there about what we did. So,
I'm on video with you right now. I see that you're wearing a kind of like a U.S. Blues kind of Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I got a Grateful Dead shirt on.
It looks beautiful. And, just hearing you talk about July 4th and feeling the springtime of our humanity.
Yeah, buddy.
The thought of a July 4th outdoor show just feels wonderful.
Yeah, I can't wait. If the town lets us do this, I'm thinking next summer we would do an acoustic opener outside and then move inside for the night when we get a little rowdy. And that, I think, would be a pretty cool formula, because the outside production is so subdued, so to speak. It's really only a couple speakers, maybe one subwoofer or something like that. And inside, of course, we need 3 or 4 guys or gals bring the show to life. So we'd have something maybe outside for dinner, and then you come inside for the rock and roll and to let yourself loose a little bit. And that would be cool. So hopefully that'll work, because that would be a nice combo. The sound ordinance is pretty standard fare. You can't go over 72 dB without a permit at your property line, or something like 20 feet from your property line or something like that. But if you get a variance, you can get up there into the, I think, 104, 105, something like that. We never really got over 72 at the parking lot. We tried to keep it down, partially because it's spot zoned and we have probably 6 or 7 homes, but they're all behind us, and we have tried to essentially put the building between us and the houses, and we try to keep up a good relationship with the neighbors, and I hope they feel like they can call me at any time.
Yeah, and the sound is almost directed, sounds like it's directed to the north from what I saw.
Yeah, so, higher frequencies are very easy to direct, but the low frequencies, they're omnidirectional in nature. And if I don't have a bunch of different point sources where I can actually use phase cancellation to steer the bass, which I can't in this situation with only one subwoofer, that bass is going to travel omnidirectional. So it doesn't really matter which way you face when it comes to bass. It's bass. people don't realize this, but a subwoofer is putting out sound in all directions. It's the same sound pressure level. Do what you can. We're not going to really be hitting those lows outside. The great irony is that I spent a lot of effort soundproofing the Caribou Room because the neighborhood was so scared, and rightly so. Who's this long-haired guy who has historically made Nedfest really loud is going to come out and do a venue. So, I signed an SRU that said you can't do anything outside and you got to be really quiet. And so I spent all this effort and money and resources in soundproofing this room, but that meant that I couldn't put any windows in the room. So who wants to go into this dark cave in summertime in Colorado? And the irony is nobody wants to go into a dark cave in the summertime in Colorado. And so it was painfully apparent that summer wasn't going to work for the Caribou Room, and we had to find other ways to make money. Social sustainability is definitely checked off. And then economic, we have 18 employees at any given time, and we are cranking money back into the local community. If you want to look at the guiding documents for town, which are, well, the biggest one being Envision 2020. They're working on Envision 2030 now, but with the pandemic, they're not getting nearly the turnout they did with the 2020, which is a shame. So if anybody's listening from Netherlands, you should try to be part of that process and talk to the town hall. I was just getting involved in the town scene at that point. There was like 300 people that turned out for Envision 2020. It's a guiding document. And if you read Envision 2020 or the comp plan, which is the comprehensive plan, plans are all about sustainability. They even talk about this nesting model of sustainability, which is environmental being the big circle. And within environmental sustainability, if you do have environmental sustainability, then you can have economic and social sustainability working in that nest. We love sustainability, and the concept of that really came out of the University of Colorado a couple decades ago. But it is the guiding documents, and we check off all those boxes. I couldn't think of a more perfect situation where at the edge of town facing north, we really don't have any adjacent land neighbors. So there's open space and Netherlands-owned property between us and any neighbors.
Yeah, so it really is almost a question of the values of the town with this document, provided. The Caribou Room at this point in time is providing a service that has kind of been needed in Netherlands for years, which is kind of like the summer concert series.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, that's what I like to think. We'll see. This is a kind of a defining moment for the town, whether or not they want to be a retirement quiet community, which is a completely valid desire, and I understand that. But the leadership needs to make the decision on where to steer the ship at this point. Do you want to have a thriving community that is self-sustainable in a certain respect? Do you want to go down this other path and have a quiet mountain town where people just come for their golden years? I like to think Netherlands is trying to become a sustainable community, and part of what that means is you need to attract families to the community, and with families you can then sustain the schools, and with schools you have the community. If you don't have schools, you lose the town. You have to have schools, and you have to have these younger families.
My point of view is the cultural landscape, also cultural sustainability, part of social, and looking at the historical context of Netherlands, keeping that in mind. So, what really brings people together? And we know it's music and the arts.
Absolutely.
And this isn't a publicly funded endeavor. This is a private enterprise with regard to creating this parking lot series, where many towns put in the effort to make it a town-sponsored event.
Almost 80%, I think, of towns have some sort of music series subsidized by the town. And, the Netherlands has just elected to not do that. So we are in the private sector trying to fill those gaps. And we actually need to do this for survival. I'm not sure if the Caribou Room will be able to withstand what COVID brought us. Right. I mean, it's going to take several years for us to catch back up financially. And I'm not sure we're going to make it. And so I'm really kind of hanging my hat on the town letting us do this. If they don't, we'll figure something out. And I'm not saying it's truly doom and gloom, and I'm not going to put that kind of responsibility on the town leaders. That being said, it's obviously bleak for our industry right now, and hopefully things will pick up.
I think that the parking lot series worked wonders in 2020 for bringing people together in one of the hardest years we've had as a society and a community. And continuing it on in 2021 just makes sense. And I, for one, hope that it carries on.
Well, I appreciate you getting the word out. That's what we're doing today, right? I really appreciate it. It's important that people understand that we're not trying to have heavy metal shows every weekend.
Right.
We're trying to find a balance that works for the neighbors and everybody. So hopefully it works.
Well, this is Dango Rose with the Mountaineer Everybody's Listening podcast. My friend Pete Fiore of the Caribou Room. Hope everybody is having a wonderful springtime of humanity, or the humanity time. I forget. It works both ways. Anyways, we'll hear you real soon. And keep on listening and keep supporting the Caribou Room, everyone.
I thank you very much, Dango, my friend. See you soon.
Thank you, Dango. And we greatly look forward to music at Caribou.
And back to the news desk for some local events and businesses. Visit Brightwood Music in Nederland for repairs to your stringed instruments. They'll restring, clean, and test your 6-string acoustic guitar for $15 plus the cost of your choice of the wide variety of strings offered there. Strings start at $8.99, and Brightwood is family-owned and operated. It's been a Netherlands staple for over a decade. Find Brightwood Music at 20 East Lakeview Drive, Unit 109 in Ned, or give them a call at 303-258-8863. For more, give them a like on Facebook at Brightwood Music.
The Nederland Farmers Market is open every other Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and hosts over 25 vendors at every market. From produce to pottery, mountain-grown meats, fresh frozen salmon, and so much more, they have all you need. Check out the next market on Sunday, May 23rd in downtown Nederland. And that's all for this week's episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. All editions of the Mountaineer Podcast are available on our website.
Pick up this week's edition of the Mountaineer in print.
And go online at www.themountaineer.com. That's MTNEAR.com to catch up on more local news. I'm Cynthia Davis.
And I'm Art DeVitalis. Until next time, thank you for listening.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local peak-to-peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.